Look, I get it. I use excuses too. I give myself all sorts of reasons not to try and get after it, not to try and stay fit. Everything I tell myself in my head is invalid, and my guests today are going to help us find ways around those thoughts in our head.
You are a warrior.
321 status.
What kind of vehicle is it?
You are the very best your nation has to offer.
911.
Multiple shots fired.
They're asking you to lead.
5, we need a Bearcat.
It's up to us.
So 133, I need somebody that's got a visual on where the shooter is.
You must be sound in mind, body, and spirit.
42, where's the officer down? I have a rescue helicopter that wants to land and help.
This is the podcast that will make you the one.
Copy running eastbound.
The one that will bring everyone back.
Trouble, we have shots fired. Give me backup now.
Because no one else is coming.
We're going to have an officer shot, 100 block of East Street.
Suspect is down.
This is the Squad Room.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Squad Room, the podcast that is about navigating the challenging terrain of our demanding careers as law enforcement professionals. My name is Garrett Teslaw, and I'm an active duty sergeant for a sheriff's office in Southern California, and I'm here to help you learn tactics and strategies for taking care of yourself, your family, and your community. If this is your first time listening to the show, thanks for stopping by to check us out, and I encourage you to do two things. First is, if you like the episode today, don't forget to subscribe to the show on the player of your choice. But also, second, go back and check out some of the other amazing guests we've had, like Kelly Starrett on episode 81, or undercover ATF agent Jay Dobbins on episode 75, or Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman on episode 62, or even former DEA agent and CrossFit OG Greg Amundsen on episodes 3 and 49. They're excellent and informative episodes, if I do say so. Now, before we get to the interview, I also want to remind you that you can get more information on this episode, including the show notes and some links to what our guests are talking about, by going to thesquadroom.net. And like I said, subscribe and follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at The Squad Room. Also want to give a quick shout out to Ranger Up Clothing and rangerup.com. Ranger Up is partnered with The Squad Room, and they are super supportive of the law enforcement professionals out there and all first responders. And they want to offer a code using the code The Squad Room, all one word, and get 10% off your order. And then follow them on social media at Ranger Up, and let them know that you appreciate their support of our show. All right, my guests today are Julian and Miranda Alcaraz of Street Parking. What is street parking? We'll explain that in the episode, but in short, if you're like me and you're looking for effective and efficient workouts, and you're maybe you're not part of a CrossFit gym, or you have a home gym, and it's really designed for home gym or traditional gym people who want to do functional fitness workouts, this is going to be a great episode. But in general, we talk about a lot of things that we all deal with, even if you're not into CrossFit. Even if you're not into functional fitness or working out at home. We talk about how we deal with excuses and how we manage our expectations and how we need to adjust our expectations and give ourselves a little sympathy sometimes when it comes to dealing with the stressors we have in the job, and then trying to maintain our physical fitness and our mindset as we go through our careers and our families and things pop up. Julian and Miranda. Miranda I've been following for several years due to her work at CrossFit HQ. She was on the CrossFit Media team there for quite some time, and has been on the air. You may know her by her previous last name of Miranda Oldroyd, if that rings a bell for anyone who follows CrossFit. But she and Julian have really created an amazing community here. They are super supportive of law enforcement professionals. I've been a member of Street Parking for about 18 months, and I absolutely love it. They are sponsors of the show. They didn't pay to come on or anything like that. My goal in this show, of course, is to use myself as a crash test dummy for things that we can use in our lives. And this, to me, Street Parking has been incredibly phenomenal when it comes to working out and all those things. For me, the challenges of working out are, if I go to a traditional gym, and this is why I like CrossFit, what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I do it? And when do I do it? And one of the things that drew me to CrossFit was You walked into a CrossFit box, a gym, and you did what was on the board, and you turned around and walked out. And what street parking does, they take that same concept, but then they adjust the workouts based on different types of equipment and what you may or may not have at your disposal. And I even say in the episode, I travel a lot for work right now, and I'm even able to get in good street parking workouts in a hotel gym. And if you can get a good workout in if you travel, you know how crappy hotel gyms can be. If they're able to create workouts that you can do in a hotel gym, then they're onto something. They've built this amazing community. They are the sweetest people. They truly are. They were so nice. Miranda, we had to cancel several times, a couple for her, a couple for me, and she was always on top of it trying to get us rescheduled for our time today. So, can't say enough nice things about them and the program that they have. I truly do endorse it for you. So check them out at streetparking.com. But listen to this episode because it's not just about CrossFit. It's not just about working out at home. It's not just for that kind of athlete. It's just for all of us who are struggling to find the best way forward. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? All right, so here we are with Julian and Miranda. Miranda and Julian, welcome to the show.
Hi.
You both, you have the, I'm going to say honor because it's my show. So it's the honor of being my first dual guest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and as now fellow podcasters yourselves, I'm sure, you can appreciate firsts anytime you have a first during your show. So we'll get to talking about your podcast in a little bit, but you are both the founders, the head, I don't know what do you give yourselves official titles, but you are the founders of Street Parking. Let's start with that.
I think legally we have titles, but
that don't even make sense.
No,
so
we don't really know.
Yeah, sure. Just put us here on the paperwork here and here and there.
Yeah, because we have a corporation now. But no, yeah, we both are the founders / stumblers upon Street Parking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So give people the idea of what street parking is, and then we'll talk about where the idea and the name came from.
So it's evolved a lot, but as of right now, street parking is a fitness community and program for those who don't have time, desire, or the funds to make it to a regular facility. So
the clue to some of your programming is, I guess, in the name, in street parking, but it's really designed as like an at-home program. But when people think, when I think at home, I think like Beachbody, or those kinds of video programs. So explain the difference between why you're not Beachbody and how does street parking, how is that different?
Yeah, so both of us come from a CrossFit background. I was a trainer even before CrossFit as well, but that's what I've been doing for a long time. Mm-hmm. And both of us were very busy in our own lives before street parking was a thing. I traveled a lot. I've always traveled a lot for work. And he had a meal prep business. And so there was a lot of time spent in hotel gyms with limited equipment, or he was training at home a lot with, he had some equipment, but not nearly as much as a regular gym. Mm-hmm. And what we noticed is that when we would post workouts like that on our social media, that people would really latch onto them. And they were still with dumbbells and things like that. So when you're thinking of Beachbody and follow along, it's still a written workout that you do on your own and with functional movements, thrusters, squatting, deadlifts, that kind of thing. But what we do with street parking is we modify it for the equipment that you have. So we do 3 versions of the workout, actually 4 versions of the workout now every day. One where, hey, if all you have access to is a set of dumbbells, maybe you're traveling or maybe that's all you have room for at your house or can afford, then there's a version of the workout for that. If you've got a little bit more, maybe you've invested in a barbell and plates, but you don't have a fully decked out garage gym, then there's a version for that person. And then we always include a version for people who do have access to a full gym or who have spent the money to deck out their garage gym. And then the 4th version is our super beginner version. So we started seeing more and more people that wanted to try the program but had no background in these movements at all or had been set a simpler version. And so the shift workouts are that.
It's the travel thing too. I've recently transferred assignments and I'm now, I've been traveling a lot for work and then some family stuff. And for the audience too, I've been a member of Street Parking for probably about at least a year, probably longer. And so little disclaimer, I am totally in and bought in on the programs and the methodology and how you guys structure it. But also this is me purely being passionate about what you guys are doing, and there's no what am I trying to say? There's no kickback here for everyone to understand, right? This is just because I found this to be effective, and one of the things I found effective you just touched on was in the hotel gyms. It takes away the excuses of not having. You can almost always find something in a hotel gym that to match a street parking workout. And I've spent some time too building out my home gym, and often found myself falling into that excuse that I didn't have the same equipment that the box down the street does. And so I would lag, but once I joined street parking and you scaled these different, it's not scaling, it's different versions of the same workout based on equipment. And, I have like adjustable dumbbells and I have a barbell, and I actually probably have more equipment in my rinky dink little home gym than I ever need to be effective in my own workouts. But my point of the hotel gym thing is I'm curious, because you're both such models of fitness and health for the community that you lead. Has there ever been times in your own life where you were making up or believing the kinds of excuses we tell ourselves sometimes to not be engaged in our fitness, or have you both always been driven towards fitness?
I'm going through that right now.
Yeah, Julian has found out that he actually has a pretty severe, I don't know if injury is the word, condition maybe, because it wasn't like an acute injury, but from the time that he was competing and lifting heavy and doing all that stuff, he's got some back issue that he was recently diagnosed with that's been bothering him for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, he's kind of going through that right now, where he could easily kind of
fall victim to the excuses of like, oh, I can't do exactly what the program's giving me to do. I can't work out. I'm feeling really tight. I'm feeling this. It's discouraging because I have to modify a lot, even our own workouts. But just seeing, because it's tough, right? Pretty much your spine has discs, to protect it. And towards the bottom,
I think it's the very bottom one.
The very bottom, I have no disc anymore. So it's just making it, it's extremely painful for me to just go about my day in general. I wake up feeling extremely tight and sore, and I just found that I can't really lift heavy anymore. I mean, I can, it's just the risk of doing so is not a big reward. It's just like, for what? Like, why am I doing this? So I have to kind of scale and modify a lot of these workouts now, just so to make sure that I don't end up feeling even more sore throughout the day, or in an uncomfortable position. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going through that right now, where easily I could just kind of fall off the horse and being like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. It hurts, but there's always a way to continue moving and doing something. And because we preach about it so much, and seeing the members, adopt that and showing it on the community page for the Facebook, like, you're just like, all right, there's no, just keep doing what you're doing, adjust and keep modifying, because at the end of the day, it's all about continuing to stay healthy. So
I think, for me too, like you said, we're trying to eliminate those excuses for people as much as possible. And I've done a couple posts where I've mentioned, like, your excuses are real. Like, it's a real thing. You really are tired, and you really are, do have a stressful life, or your kid really isn't sleeping through the night, or you really do have these like injuries from college football, or, or whatever. But you got to just keep moving. So a question that I get a lot is, what do you eat? What's your nutrition like? What's your diet like? I want to look like you, or whatever. And my message that I'm really trying to push right now is it's not an exact diet or an exact workout necessarily. It's consistency. And if having equipment at home allows you 2 more workouts a week, even if they don't seem as fancy, or you're not, in a gym for an hour, if you find that consistency, the results are so much better, even if you're modifying, and even if it's, a shorter workout. The consistency is what people are lacking. And it's the, instead of telling them what workout program I follow, I like to tell them how long I've been consistent for. They get the idea that that's what their goal needs to be, to find something that allows them to be consistent.
And you do a lot of that with the programming and the kind of prizes and stuff that you emphasize with the group in terms, they're all consistency based, not, really PR based stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
It's not never performance based.
No.
Yeah.
So, Julian, I think any cop will relate to the idea of back problems. I mean, we all have horrible back problems from the 30 pounds of gear that we carry around, most of it on our waist. And so any one of us can relate to that. And I mean, the slip discs and hernias, and I mean, herniated discs, there's so many cops that experience that. And, I think it's interesting that you're emphasizing just doing something, and the theme of our show is, just one day stronger, just try and be better than yesterday in some measurable way. It doesn't have to be necessarily your fitness, but it could be your mindset, or your leadership, or your relationships, that sort of thing. But, and I think this comes with age too, but having a little patience and grace with yourself seems to be important in that too. What are the things that you have done, either of you, to navigate some of those changes and give yourself a little patience and a little understanding?
One, communication, and me and Miranda have had a lot of talks recently because she's been concerned, because she knows my attitude has been affected, just because I do wake up feeling uncomfortable and going from almost being seen as an elite athlete to now I know I can't physically push to my ability where I'm at now because I'm being cautious. I don't want to make it worse, right? Because I'm going for the long run here. I'm not going for, PR, crazy intensive workout every single time. I have to be more realistic now. So it's affected my mood for sure. But I would say just having conversations with her about all these things and just kind of lets me kind of vent and get it out. That's kind of helped me through it. And then, of course, just understanding that luckily I have the experience necessary to be able to modify and adapt workouts that are still really good and follow the template that we've provided, so I still get a really, really good workout and, and I'm happy with that. And the thing is and that's why we try to educate our members with as much of this info as possible and continue to relate with them, because hey, listen guys, I'm going through this now. So we've been in talks with our media guy about capturing this whole process of the next 4 months, going to see a chiro / strengthening my core and my glutes. Because it's something that, a lot of people are going through, and so, and just and it's going to be the boring stuff. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the boring stuff. It's going to be, I can't go from the floor anymore. I have to go hang cleans. I have to use dumbbells all the time. I have to do regular back squats. I can't do this or that. I can't lift heavy. So you just kind of get stuck with a very limited thing, very limited movements, obviously. But the beauty of it is obviously the amount of combinations that we can create in our head to make it not seem so routine. Mm-hmm. Just again, reminding myself that, this is what it's all about, the long run, right? Seeing the greater reward as to, look, you're kind of rehabbing yourself right now, go through this process. Because there was the same process that it took for us to start from even being a regular day-to-day athlete to a games athlete, right? Mm-hmm. That took 4 or 5 years, now, I just, so grand in the big picture, 4, 6, 8 months doesn't seem so long of a recovery. Yeah. As long as I'm, continuing to stay consistent with my workouts. So
I think too, whether it's, an injury, like a back injury or a knee or shoulder or whatever, or whether it's your life that's making it difficult for you to lose weight or work out or eat right or whatever. I feel lucky now that I have had the injuries that I've had in the past. Because for him, his back is hurt the whole time that I've known him, mm-hmm. but it wasn't until he got diagnosed with something that was worse than he thought it was, which was only a couple weeks ago now. Mm-hmm. That he's realized, oh wait, this is my reality. This is not some tight muscles that I can just roll it out and stretch it out. And same thing when I hurt my neck or when I hurt my knee, there's a moment where this is reality. And then it's the decisions that people make from there. The fact that he has no disc, that's not going to change. It's just how he's going to react to it. Right. And when I have been injured, same thing. I also got the opportunity to work with, adaptive athlete, a guy who was paralyzed from the waist down. I was his trainer for like a year, and that really gave me this, everyone can do something. It's just what they're willing to, how they're seeing their reality and how they're seeing what's possible. And then you probably know the street parking community. If you go on that Facebook page, I don't care what your reason in your mind is that you think that you can't work out, start scrolling through there and you'll see people with no equipment trying to modify the workouts in their bedroom next to their bed at 11 o'clock at night. And you're like, okay, this can be done. It's my perception of what I can do that needs to change, that I can do something. So for him, it's like, this is my reality. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to stew about it? Am I going to make it worse by continuing to train way that I was, or am I going to try to fix it but keep moving? So,
Do you, if anything, it's just taking me back to basics.
Yeah.
It's just taking me back to basics,
yeah.
which I actually can appreciate. I'm actually starting to like, not be so stubborn and going through like proper warm up routines with like, the crossover symmetry hip halo, like looking at their list of things to like do core and glute activation, things that we choose to neglect, right? Like who wants to do like an ab workout? They suck. They hurt. And you're just like, God, why do I, but I'd rather do Fran over doing like a freaking core exercise routine, like, ugh, and same thing for the glutes, right? Like leg glute workouts freaking hurt and they suck, right? Like, but it just kind of allowed me to jump into it and then get into a point where like I'm actually enjoying it now, knowing that there's a greater reward. It's going to make me so much better coming out of this injury, so.
Do you find that in that process of being an elite athlete and then developing a program like this that you've overcomplicated it for yourself then at times?
100%, because even back when I was like competing competitively, I would be almost embarrassed to work out from home because it's like, I don't have all the equipment, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and this was like before.
This is before street parking.
Yeah, before street parking, before I even met her, I was like, man, I can't make it to the gym today. It just means I can't work out now, right? Like, but what if the future self would have been there and be like, you're ridiculous, right? Because some of the best workouts I've gotten have been at home. And even the workouts that I do now have been the best workouts I've ever gotten because I'm able to leave it all out there and just get it done, It's just for a lot of the day-to-day people, we don't need a lot of the extra fancy stuff that's at the gym. Like,
I think it's been one of the reasons that we've been successful is because we are living the same lifestyle as our clients or our members. So yeah, we've called street parking CrossFit Games athlete rehab. Where it's like just don't start the timer. Like no one cares what your score is. There's no prizes for scores. Mm-hmm. The workouts are simple. It's only one a day. Like just calm down. You need 30 minutes. That's it. And there's been plenty of times where it's hard for us and we feel like we need to do more. We should be doing more. I was pregnant for the first 9 months of street parking. So that was tough to have to modify and change everything. But making sure that we show all of that to our members. Yeah. And then obviously when you have a new baby, it's almost harder than when you're pregnant because you're just so exhausted and then the injuries and running a business and just being busy. So, we are the same as the members, just with a little bit, a lot of experience in creating workouts. And so we know what we need and what's good for us is good for you guys. And we're over here testing it to make sure that it's good to go.
I think that one of the things that I've realized as well by working out less is it's made me more aware of also things outside of the gym, especially like my nutrition, time management.
Yes.
Right? Because the thing is, take nutrition and fitness, right? There's people that will work out all day.
This used
to be me. Will work out multiple hours, but they won't change up their nutrition. But what happens if you get put in a position where you get injured and then you all of a sudden a life change, whether it be work, injury, something, doesn't allow you to be at the gym all day. And then you're working out like 20 minutes, but you're still eating the same as you were when you were working out 4 or 5 hours a day where your body was able to kind of burn it off, I guess, if you want to say. Oh my gosh, good luck. Here comes the weight, like, So one of the things that I've actually cleaned up my eating a lot. It's like an 80-20 balance now. Like there's certain things that I enjoy on my day-to-day basis. Like I'll put cheese in my meals, like, a small amount of cheese, and I'll have like, pizza once a week. We stay consistent with that just because it like gives us life after like a long workout. Or even in general, like I'll put half and half in my coffee. Because there's days where I will drink black coffee, but then there's days where like I just want something comforting. But it makes me aware of, look, these are your things that you're going to allow yourself to do. Don't let yourself go overboard and be like, oh, I'm going to be a foodie. I'm going to eat crappy. I'm going to eat pizza every day where I'm craving pizza. Like it's allowed me the discipline in my nutrition as well. Now that we only work out and stay true to like we're gonna work out for the street parking workout for the day, and that's it. We got to get back to spending time with our son, with each other, the business, everything. So watching nutrition has been a big part of this change for me as well. Actually,
it's been funny for me because with all that we have going on outside of our own workouts, like running the business and each other and Knox, our child. If I still had the idea that I needed an hour plus a day to train, my consistency would be really bad. It's actually shocking to me now, like seeing this real world side of it, because when we were training before, that's all we did. I mean, I worked on the weekends for CrossFit, but our job was to work out, all day. I don't know how so many people actually do make that happen.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Like how these gyms everywhere have so many people in them, because I don't know how these people are finding time to make it there that have all that stuff going on. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to tie that to, I think, to my own experience within the last just couple of months, because I was certainly not working out all day long, but I was on patrol, and like we mentioned, the weight, and we wear, my department, we wear exterior load-bearing vests, which is basically the same as a weight vest, that you would use in like a Murph or something like that. Not quite as heavy, but it's about 25 pounds. Anyway, I'm in a very active station. I'm moving around. I'm in and out of the car. I'm up and down the stairs for 12-hour shifts, and doing my street parking on my days off. And then recently transitioned to a desk job where I'm in investigations. And it's funny because I had the exact same experience you were talking about just now of didn't change my dieting or nutrition to match the fact that what I should have known was coming was I no longer carried that weight around. I wasn't being active and moving. I was sitting behind a desk, and all of a sudden that weight came on quick. Quick.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute to realize, kind of deconstructing what was occurring, and there hadn't been any change. I'm like, well, I'm not eating any differently. Like, oh wait, I'm not moving nearly as much as I was. Yep. And I'm now way more static than I ever have been. So that over the last month has been a challenge for me to really focus on those things now, because I think you'll probably agree. The nutrition part is not fun for me. That's not the meal prep is not. I mean, you ran a meal prep business, so maybe it was fun for you, but it's certainly not fun for me to plan meals. I'd much rather go work out and, release all those endorphins and all that.
Absolutely.
So, Miranda, you mentioned that you also came from, you're working at CrossFit HQ, and you were there during a time when, talk about a rocket ship of explosion of growth and development from, at least from the outside perspective of, these boxes just going on everywhere around the country. And now to being an entrepreneur, I'm curious, this is probably not a cop question. It's more like a business question, but what have you learned from that experience and now into your program that is now really growing at a fantastic rate?
So, I feel lucky to just have lived in that area, because I don't know that it was all necessarily just seeing the growth of CrossFit. So I moved to Santa Cruz in 2011. When I opened my CrossFit gym, because I had a CrossFit gym in Salt Lake City from 2008 to 2011. I think it was around CrossFit gym number 200 and somewhere between 200 and 250. And now there's 10,000 plus?
Right.
Something crazy. So, when I moved to Santa Cruz, I just feel lucky to have, the Silicon Valley, we were actually just watching a documentary about a Silicon Valley business that was not so great, the other day. But, that whole area is just full of people, entrepreneurs and startups and everything. So I got to be in contact with a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, seeing the growth of CrossFit, and just one thing that I can take away from the business side of it is, that they weren't afraid to like try new things, or they turned themselves into a media company, which is essentially kind of what we have to do with how much content we're producing all the time, to give you guys the demos and do the movement library and the newsletters and all that stuff. Like, it's a lot of content production more than, because you can have a great message, but if people aren't seeing it, then it doesn't really matter, right? So I definitely learned a lot about that from them. And then, one of the guys that works here and was one of our main guys is somebody that was at NorCal CrossFit, that I met there. And he helped Jason to grow his business there, which he has multiple gyms all over the world. So yeah, that's it. I just think, I don't think that I even realized we were so, and I think this is how street parking is now. We were so busy that you didn't even like poke your head up to see what was going on. And I sometimes feel like that's how we are here now. We're just kind of like in our own little world over here.
Yeah. That's why we kind of moved to Washington, to be honest. Because being in Irvine, Orange County, LA, it's like fitness driven, all the gimmicky fitness things all around, like saturated with CrossFit gyms. We're just like, look, like we just, it was a good peaceful move for us to be kept like focused and in our zone and be in a position where like we felt really comfortable, raising our family. And start, staying focused pretty much. I
can see though, because when I started CrossFit, when I opened my affiliate, there had only been one season of the CrossFit Games, and it was not a season. It was a barbecue at the Castro Ranch, and there was like 50 people there. And that was in 2007. So what I can see is how they did put a lot of emphasis on the games and competing. And I know that's something they're trying to battle with now, to try to like take back that it is for regular people. And I think that taught us for street parking a huge lesson to never make it about that, because we never want that to happen where it becomes about performance, or people have asked us, are you guys going to have any like street parking throwdowns? And we're like, absolutely not. We'll have meetups where we all work out together and hang out, but it's never going to be about who's the fittest, who's got the best scores, who's, because that's motivating to a certain point, but it's demotivating to a lot of people too. So
intimidating, right? Yeah.
So if you don't feel like you're always crushing it every day, like you're going to be like really bummed out, and you're like, well, I'm not making any progress. So I'm just going to not do it. And that's part of it too, that people don't understand, that even as competitive athletes, a lot of their training is kind of not the greatest. It's like miserable, it's sad, it's lonely, it's for the majority of them. I know you guys had a really good time, but that was, you guys were around good people and stuff. And but there's a lot of disappointment and stuff like that. And as a competitive athlete, it's like a big part that you train as well, your mindset. But for the everyday person, that shouldn't be their focus. You should be happy that you made progress every day, step by step, and
then I feel that it seeps down into a lot of the gyms too, where people were comparing scores with each other and calling each other out for cheating and and I don't know if you've seen, but on our Facebook page, we've made it very clear that like, we don't call people out for cheating. Like if they cheated, that's on them. No one cares. There's no prize. There's a solid chance that people just enter their score wrong on accident or counted wrong on accident. And we realize that there's a lot of members. So the whole point of the log book is just to keep track for yourself in case we repeat the workout, and to give you guys an idea of how everybody else did as a whole, not to pick out individuals and try to like beat them or anything like that. So
that was actually what ended up causing me to leave my gym, my CrossFit gym, was they shifted to emphasis towards getting people ready for regionals. And the attitude the attitude change was like palpable, know, and it went from community and engagement and encouraging people to, well, if you're higher up on the leaderboard than me, then maybe you've got a better chance. And trust me, I was never in the conversation about regionals, but it was like, it was no longer that aspect of it that I loved.
Yeah.
We've had a bunch of CrossFit OGs on this show, Freddie Camacho and James Fitzgerald, Greg Amundsen, John Wellborn, Andy Stumpf, Diane Urban, they all have a pretty entertaining story about their first CrossFit workout or their introduction to it. Do either of you have one like that?
I definitely do. So I was a personal trainer. This is in 2007. So I was already a trainer. I had been in the fitness industry for a while already. And I was bored with a lot of it, to be honest. So I started Google searching like military training, because that sounds badass, right? Like that's going to be cool. My clients are going to love that. So military training. And I came across the CrossFit website because there was nobody knew what it was, and there was no Instagram, and there was none of that. So I just found the workouts, and I had the same reaction that most people still have to this day. And they're like, this can't be enough. It's one workout a day. Like I was used to Globo Gym, like back and bis, chest and tris, the whole separating body parts, and you do cardio on, other days and all that. But I decided if I was going to really make an assessment if it worked, I could only do that. So I couldn't do that and my regular training, because then it's like, well, who knows if it's that's working or if it's your regular workout. So I decided for a month that I was going to do CrossFit.com workout of the day only. And I sent like an email to all my other friends who were trainers telling them about this like research project I was going to do. And I was like, I'm starting on Monday, whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And it was 4x400 meter run. And that is it. I did it on the treadmill at, a Gold's Gym, and just completely wrecked myself. I probably looked insane because the instructions basically said to go all out every single time and rest 2 minutes in between or whatever. And then I left the gym, and then the next day, one of the first workouts was like the Filthy 50, but I mean, I had been a trainer. I competed in like, a bodybuilding type, it was the fitness category show, and had done well. So I, felt like I was pretty fit, but it wrecked me completely. And, I couldn't believe it. And that was it. That my 30 days turned into, where we are now. So.
Right. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No.
Do you remember yours?
I remember there was two of them that while I was entering CrossFit that kind of left a mark, and it wasn't exact workouts. I remember, because I was always pretty good at doing like body weight stuff. I was just doing.
Well, same thing. You were teaching
outdoor boot camp classes kind of deal, right? And so, but I remember there was one time where we had like a body weight kind of workout, and I finished early in the class. And so Katie Hogan at the time was my instructor. This was back in 2012. And she was like, all right, if anybody finishes workout under this like 12 minutes, right, because there were still people going, you guys can do 100 pull-ups for time.
Oh, gosh.
And so here I am, like.
Congratulations, you've earned yourself 100
because a lot of the people that were in that class, like, that were finishing this workout in a certain amount of time, like, they were the elites or the more fit people of the group and had been CrossFitting for a bit. So she just threw, okay, guys, 100 pull-ups for time. And so I went up there, and took me I think I got to like 30, and then I just was like doing doubles, but I powered through, and I was like, oh my gosh. While they were all finishing in like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, it took me like 7.5, 8 minutes. And I remember, I thought I had rhabdo. I really did.
You probably did.
I was like, I remember I had an event that I was going to for the next like 3-4 days. I was walking, like, I could not straighten out my arms. I was literally like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. That, and then when I just got introduced into like barbells in general, like overhead squat, those kinds of things, those humbled me so fast. Because I couldn't even overhead squat like 65 pounds. I would empty barbell because of the mobility, right? Like, I'd never been told to overhead squat. Like, random, so that kind of like really, really humbled me.
Yeah, I had mine real quick. I remember my first class, I went in, same sort of thing. Like, I've been doing traditional Globo Gym stuff, right? And, was in decent shape, but had also been recovering from a back injury, and walked in, and the only thing I remember about it was that there was a woman in the class who was probably like 6 or 7 months pregnant. And I was like, well, that seems weird. First of all, you just don't see that often outside of like a CrossFit gym. But when I saw the workout, I'm like, well, at least there's one person here that I'm going to beat, because I was pretty intimidated, and she smoked me, right? Like, I was just laying on the floor halfway through and ready to give up, and she's just trucking along, and thought, okay, there's something to this. If she can at crush it like she was doing, and I'm just laid out, and I'm at least 5-10 years younger than her anyway, to begin with, even before that.
Man, double whammy.
Double whammy. So I left my ego there on the floor and luckily came back. But want to transition a little bit. Miranda, you have a tattoo on the back of your neck that says "Fate loves the fearless." Can you explain where the inspiration for that came from?
Yeah. So in 2012, roughly around the same time that he had rhabdo in his biceps, I was working at a CrossFit seminar in Southern California, and it was when I still lived in Northern California. And at lunchtime at the seminar, I left to pick up the trainer's coffee, and on my way back, turning into the seminar, I was T-boned by a car going through the same intersection, and car spun around. I was in like a little crappy rental car, all the airbags deployed and everything, and I was taken in an ambulance to the hospital. I had neck pain, and I had just competed in regionals. It was like a month and a half after regionals where I hadn't qualified for the games. It would have been really sad if I had, but I hadn't qualified. I was close. I was in 7th place at regionals. So I was pretty fit at the time. I had been training a lot. Anyway, long story short, they did not give me an x-ray on my neck at the emergency room, even though I was brought in on a spine board with a neck brace and complaining of neck pain, but that's a whole separate topic. 2 weeks later, the doctor who was casting my hand, because my hand was broken, noticed that I was still moving really, really stiff in my neck. And he was like, "Is your neck still hurt that bad?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's whiplash." And he's like, "It's been a long time." So he sent me to get an MRI. MRI showed what's called a hangman's fracture, which is like an unstable C2 fracture, where if I would have like tripped, or if I would have been rear-ended, or, if I want to be extreme, sneezed weird or something like that, it could have paralyzed me. Like, it was very unstable, and I had been walking around like that for like 2 weeks. So they sent me to an ER. Now I'm back up in Northern California. They sent me to an ER, and that night I had to have my C2 and C3 fused, and the disc between the two replaced, because it was like also completely gone. So yeah, it says "Live, Fate loves the fearless." A poem written by James Lowell, I think I'm saying that right, is about the Vikings crossing over to the Americas, and they're just leaving in these boats, and they have no idea where they're going. And it's a quote from that poem that just basically means like, be fearless and fate will be on your side. So I felt that because I was chasing my dream of competing at the CrossFit Games, and I was living my life to the fullest, is the reason that I had so much muscle, which I was told by the doctors was because I had so much muscle in my neck. I basically had my own soft collar that I had been wearing around. And those muscles had tightened up to protect me, and it's the reason that I wasn't paralyzed. So yeah. It's
unreal. The story is incredible. And there's a video I'll post in the show notes that you did several years ago talking about it too. And I just wanted to bring it up because, more cops are killed every year in vehicle accidents than we are by suspects. And I don't know how many more than that exponentially face career-ending injuries every year. And it's, we spend hours and hours every day driving a vehicle, and often, dangerous speeds and dangerous conditions. And when you drive 100, 200 miles per shift and you're working 3, 4, 5 days a week over the course of your career, you're almost guaranteed to get into some kind of accident. And to me, it seems that we often don't think about our fitness in that sense as preventative or protecting us. I wear body armor every day when I go into work, when I go on patrol anyway. But any modern cop would never consider going out without their body armor. Yet we often talk ourselves out of the importance of the muscle fitness and our physical fitness to protect us in those other ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. And one of the things that we used to teach at the seminars was kind of this like spectrum where everybody, like if you go to your doctor's office, they just want you to be normal, like middle of the road average. But for us, we want to push people further than that, because it creates like a buffer really of, the bad things that can happen. And of course, like a car accident to a certain degree is going to injure or kill anyone. Like there's not a lot you can do in some cases, but in my case, having a lot of muscle did make a huge difference. Or in another case, let's say you've got a guy who's really, really fit and gets injured and is laid up for 2 months, not able to get out of bed. Him getting out of bed 2 months later with where he started is going to be a lot better off than somebody who gets injured and is completely out of shape already, then lays in bed for 2 months. Mm-hmm. This guy is going to have a whole host of other problems because, he didn't have as much of a buffer between, where he was and sickness basically, or some stuff that's going to take a really long time to get back from. So you take somebody who's super fit, they could lay on the couch for 6 months and eat nothing but ice cream, and they're still going to be more fit than most of the population just walking around because they've built that buffer. And it's important. And people, a lot of times they think of working out as aesthetics only or impressing people in the gym only, and have a hard time relating it to real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that directly relates to our job. And we talk about often in our community, we talk about the need for physical fitness as part of the presentation you give to the public, right? You look professional, you act professional, but it's also a in shape law enforcement officer is, for lack of a better term, intimidating to a suspect to the point.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be intimidating, air quotes, to the general public, but it helps protect us because people who are assaultive towards cops the FBI has shown that they will evaluate the cop based on their physical fitness and decide I can or cannot take this person, right? So it transfers to that.
Yeah. I mean, that applies to just day-to-day people as well.
It applies to. I've thought that as from the standpoint of being a woman. Yeah. I thought that I've been pretty confident in plenty of situations where I'm like, ain't nobody's gonna try to kidnap me. I'm not going to be the target for most kidnappers or someone trying to mug someone. Mm-hmm. They're going to look at me and be like, ooh, that looks like more work than it might be worth. Right. Let me find somebody else.
Right.
So.
What's so funny? I mean, speaking of this topic, because recently, since you're an officer and you understand about firearms, since moving to Washington, I just got introduced into firearms. And I went to go buy some, and I've been going to the range twice a week to try to because luckily we're in a bubble here, right? That everything's really close. So I'll go to the range and everything, and I'm looking, I'll be at the range and I'm looking next to me to people that are next to me. And you just have these extremely out of shape guys sitting down, setting up with their super, because now that I know how much these guns cost.
Right.
The optics themselves cost more than the freaking firearm. I was like, what the heck? I'm just a whole new world that I've kind of introduced myself to, and just making sure that, again, really sticking true to the basics of this, because it can get really out of hand and quick, right? How over the top all this is, which is kind of every world has its people that go over the top with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm there and I'm looking at these people. I'm like, if this is your way of feeling like you can defend yourself, only defend yourself, that's not a great way to be living. Mm-hmm. Because these guys are extremely unhealthy, dropping clearly some guns with all the optics, $5-6 grand.
Oh, yeah.
But they're sitting down looking like slobs. And I'm like, let me tell you something, man. If someone takes that gun away from you, what do you have now?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You're out, good luck, because, you have about 30 seconds of lung capacity in that body, and then you are gassed, and then you can't function, and then you can't think. Mm-hmm. You probably wouldn't be able to fire your firearm the same way. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, it's insane.
Yeah.
All of that I'm kind of realizing, jumping into these different worlds a little bit, and just oh my goodness. But yeah, it's just pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the exact same issue in law enforcement we have too, and those videos are out there of a cop who is maybe less skilled in either hand to hand or going hands on with people, or their physical fitness isn't up to par. And you go, we talk about escalation of force or this continuum, and you go from hands on to intermediate or less lethal types of force to lethal force. And if you don't have the skills, training, knowledge, abilities, and the fitness level to handle those intermediary levels, you go from hands on to lethal real quick. Right?
Yeah.
And bad decisions are made as a result. So that fitness level, and to me, what street parking or any functional fitness kind of work does that I think the traditional Globo Gym type workouts don't do is they engage that mental aspect of your training as well. And there's a little bit of perseverance and a little bit of self-talk and struggle that has to go on in those workouts, especially the longer chipper type workouts. Mm-hmm. And that to me mimics what happens to us in a fight or in a stressful situation. When I'm running 135 miles an hour to like an officer down call or officer needs assistance call, and my heart rate's up and I am getting my tunnel vision and I have to think clearly and I have to act clearly. And as a supervisor, I have to give instructions to other people clearly. That's similar to me. That it's almost, like I say, it gets mimicked in some of those workouts where you have to continue to keep your head about you while you're breathing hard and you're moving. And so the training to me is directly applicable to our job in that sense too. It's been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, learning how to control your breathing and learning how to, when you're getting too close to red line type pace and how to control that and how to dial it back, that's a skill that you have to practice. I mean, and the reason why everyone has a funny first workout story is because we came into it without that skill and just just exploded. And so, it's a skill that takes practice and focus and knowing. I mean, both of us now, I can get pretty uncomfortable and still function, but I know like where that line is where I'm like, okay, if I cross this line, it's like I've gone too far and there's no return from there. So learning where that is and pushing how far it is too is so important, especially for you guys with your job for sure.
I only have a couple questions left for you guys. I know we got a little bit of time, but my audience would be upset if I didn't ask Julian, what have you purchased or what are you carrying or what are you enjoying on the range right now?
So keep in mind that he had no guns 3 months ago.
I kind of ran with it because I got pretty excited and I had to slow myself down, just like being realistic. And so I started off with like a trio because my friend took me. He's like, they're going to change the laws in January 1st. You better go get your firearms. And I was like,
we all have that friend.
All right, fine. All right. He's like, I was like, what are the laws that they're changing? He's like, I don't know, but they're going to change them. So you better be safe than sorry. So it originally started with home protection. So I ended up getting a Glock 45, which just came out recently. So it was kind of like a good intro. And then he's like, you should get a shotgun. I was like, okay, fine. So I got a Mossberg shotgun, like a semi-auto. That's it's not so long. So that way Miranda or myself can use it, and in the house if needed. And then also, I picked up a SIG, MCX. So that was like my first purchase. And then I got the little bug once I started going to the range. So then I went back and, I picked up, another. So now I have 2 Glock 19s, a Glock 45. I bought a.
Wait, you have 2 Glock 19s?
I have 2 Glock 19s because one for upstairs and one for downstairs. He's not going to argue with me. But so I have 2 Glock 19s, a Glock 45. I have a CMMG Banshee, that 9mm one that's Glock compatible mags. I know. And so that's what I have. I have 6 now.
So you basically started with 3-gun competition right then and there with the MCX and the.
Well, the thing is, I had no idea. So here's a funny story about that. We're at the gun store, and my friend's like, "You should get an AR." I was like, "Why? Why do I need one? You don't know if they're gonna ban them
because they're fun."
And I was like, I'm trying to like wrap my head around this purchase, and so they're showing me like intro level ARs, and they're like, "But look, you have to get at least a medium, like in the medium tier, so you know it's gonna last you a long time." And SIG's a great brand. So then I was like, you should text Castro because we talked to Dave. So I text Castro. I was like, hey, what's your recommendation on an AR? So he sends me like the top of the line, like $5,000. I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy a Ferrari for my first car. And then my friends like saying no. So we went to the medium one that I knew was going to be like, I don't have to buy another one ever again with the amount of purpose I have for it. So I feel like that was now that I'm into it, I'm glad that I have that one because now that I've shot all of them, I've kind of grown more favorable towards handguns as opposed to like ARs and stuff. Because realistically, my lifestyle, I don't need multiple ARs. I don't need multiple shotguns. I'm not going out hunting. I'm not going out this. I'm not going out that. It's literally for like day-to-day usage, and so, but yeah.
Well, it's a solid gun. I used to carry the Glock 19 on duty myself. I like SIGs, but, yeah, great. And well, Miranda, do you have any experience with firearms, or is this new to you with him dragging you along?
I have some experience. Like I've been shooting.
Okay.
When I was working for CrossFit, I spent a lot of time at military bases.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the shooting we would do is as a crew, we would go to like the gun range, or I grew up in Utah, so a lot of people there are hunters. So I've shot like clay pigeons and stuff like that with shotguns and things. But I have not been I've not been to the gun store, let me put it that way, with him.
Well, he's got an extra Glock 19 laying around if you need one.
Yeah,
I guess, right?
he's going to take me so that I can learn how to shoot whichever one is the most appropriate for me. But,
I'll definitely, I went deep into like researching and educating myself as much as possible. Like I took one-on-one classes to how to shoot the shotgun, how to shoot the AR, and so I can get the functionalities down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just go twice a week for like 30, 40 minutes, to the gun range to just reps, like literally. And it's not just because I'm noticing that going there, people will just blaze through ammunition, but I'm the kind of person that's like a 2-round mag, release, shoot 2 more rounds in the mag, right? And constantly the release, the insert, the chain, that whole process over multiple reps, as opposed to just going there without a purpose. So again, but that's also applying my athlete mentality to this realistic situation and what is realistic, because you see, I kind of vent to her all the time when I go super deep into watching these videos. I'm like, I'm getting actually really annoyed about how over the top these people are with how much they're investing in these firearms, and like they're preparing for the zombie apocalypse like no other. But it's like they're probably going to die of diabetes before a zombie apocalypse happens. Like like I get like such an anger.
Yeah. Because
they're so over the top, and they're just taking these tactical courses. And don't get me wrong, if you have a firearm, you better know how to use that freaking thing, right? Don't be an idiot, especially like nowadays with like how people are just, obviously it's a very debatable thing, but just know your firearm, right? And be realistic about situations. Put yourself through some of those situations where, like, you're not always going to be at a range situation where you have something that's 15 yards in front of you and it's not moving, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you might have to, get out of a positioning. Jack your heart rate up a little bit. So there's definitely a time and a place for that, but people get too carried away over that as well. It's like, you're training like you're a SEAL, right? But you're a civilian. And to me, I'm just kind of like, it's not a mentality that I kind of, as an officer, that's your guys' job. But for the everyday civilian, I don't want to walk around thinking like danger is going to happen, right? It's not a good. No,
they're very paranoid.
Oh, they're so paranoid. Like, I'm like, what did you do to get you to this point? Like, it's the media.
Yeah. I see the same thing. I get frustrated with it because, like you say, vast majority of gun owners are, home defense or self-defense or family defense, but they'll blaze through 3 magazines in a shoot and move, and it's like, like they've watched John Wick one too many times. But
God, I know. Not that I don't love that movie, I love it.
I love it too, but it's it's like I have tactics and techniques I need to practice because of the environment I work in, but I have a special environment. I don't go out and assault buildings like SEAL Team 6, right? We have different styles. I have different equipment. And I'm just thinking in my own head of a guy at my range who, shows up looking like he just dropped off a Black Hawk and, fast roped into the range and he's all kitted up, and you ask him what he does and, he's an accountant or whatever. And so, and it doesn't apply. It's the same as our fitness. It doesn't apply to his needs. It's cool. He looks awesome. He could Photoshop himself into a photo of something, but reality is if he needs it, it's going to be middle of the night. He's going to be absolutely terrified because someone's breaking into his house. He's going to be adrenaline and he's going to be shaken, and that's what you need to be preparing with, and that's how you need to be practicing, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So I have one last question, and then I'll let you guys go. You've been so gracious with your time, but it's on this topic really, but you both openly support military and first responders, and you provide a significant discount at street parking to our population, and thank you for that. There are plenty of special populations out there or causes to pick up though out there to support. Why is it important for you to support first responders like this?
I think it goes back to, again, my time that I had the opportunity to go to many military bases, including one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan when I was coaching with CrossFit. And specifically deployed soldiers, need this programming because their equipment is almost nothing and they need to be fit. And even if it's just the community that makes them feel like there's a little piece of home there with them still doing these workouts, that's awesome. I know a lot of our military guys their wives that are at home are also street parking members. So they're sharing that together. Hey, did you do the workout today? How did it go? And that's like a shared experience that they can have when they're deployed. But you guys are busy. You guys have families and it's your job to protect us. It's a thankless job. Police officers, especially nowadays, it's like the disrespectful things that people love to, throw at you guys when all you're trying to do is really protect us. And, there's a lot of other things you guys could be out there doing that would make you more money and definitely make you more friends sometimes, but somebody's got to do it and you put your lives on the line to do it. And we just want to provide a tool and give you a little bit of a discount because we appreciate you. And that's it.
It's like people don't appreciate first responders until they get put in a position where they immediately appreciate them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing that saddens me is that, well, like any community, whether it be sports or anything, right? There's always going to be the bad representation of the people in that community.
Sure.
And unfortunately, those are the things that people, especially nowadays, love to highlight, So, it's unfortunate. But we know to value like people, like the communities for what they're good for. And, you guys are there, protecting our lives. It's just not a daily reminder for people unless, like I said, until people actually experience, I'm a big fan, right? But, so anyway, we're huge supporters of all first responders, big supporters.
Yeah, we appreciate that support, and also thank you for your time today. This great conversation. Where can people learn more about street parking and follow you both on social medias and learn more about what you guys are out there doing?
Yeah, so the website is streetparking.com. We have a Facebook page, which is street parking, and Instagram is just at street parking. I'm at Fearless Miranda, and he's at 009 Julian on Instagram. Julian with a J, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
And that's us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We'll put all that in the show notes too, so people can link up and follow those things if they're out on patrol right now or driving and can't look you up right now. They can go to the show notes at thesquadroom.net and pick those up. And I'll say too that there are a lot of first responders in that Facebook community, and
they started their own page.
Yeah,
I know they did.
it's fun to interact with them and see others out there getting after it on their days off or after a long shift and still, working to be that one day stronger. So thank you both for your time today, and I wish you both continued success.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for being a member of the community.
No, it literally has been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. It's torn down a lot of the walls of excuses to, when I said I left my gym and then, was, kind of kicking around weights at a regular gym. And then, it gave me a good excuse to clean out my garage and put all that stuff back into use. And then, it's been great. So, again, I'm a huge fan of the program and what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Squadroom. I truly believe in the product that they are putting out and the community they're growing. It is something I've been using, and I've had other programs on and some of them work. And in fact, I'm going to go back and experiment again with one of them. I've had other programs on. I like them for various reasons. I like the intensity and the options or the variety behind something like Mountain Training Institute, or Mountain Tactical Institute, or RP Strength. But for day-to-day, just making sure you get something in, you get in a good workout, I haven't found anything that's better than street parking. So I really do endorse it wholeheartedly. If you liked this episode, please consider leaving a review on the podcast player of your choice. It helps us grow the show and reach more people. If you think someone else would like to listen to this episode, you can go to thesquadroom.net and to this episode and share this episode. You can email it. You can put it on your socials. You can do all sorts of things with it to share this with people you think need to hear this. You can also just grab their phone out of their hand and make them subscribe, and that'd be fantastic. But speaking of subscription, if you're not subscribed to the show, please subscribe on the player of your choice, and you will be updated with every new episode automatically. It's like that easy. All right. This is really a show about first responder fitness and all of the ways that we try to stay fit, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. And so much of that comes from our physical fitness and our ability to do our jobs and being in alignment with our beliefs and our actions. And street parking is really helpful for me on that D in badges, the discipline, helping me stay disciplined about my working out, which I am probably more disciplined about working out than I am about my nutrition. So that's what I got to get really dialed in. But, you know, it's all part of that same thing, the idea of badges, our beliefs, actions, discipline, goals, emotions, and service. So if you have a question you want to reach out, you can join our Facebook group. You can search the Squad Room Podcast group on Facebook, and you can join the podcast there, where we have some discussions in person, or online in person. Or if you have a question you want to reach out to me, Garrett, 2 R's, 2 T's at thesquadroom.net. I answer all my emails, as long as it didn't get to spam and I missed it. But I get those, and I do absolutely everything I can to respond to everybody as well. All right, I also want to thank Ranger Up for their support of the show. Ranger Up Clothing, you get 10% off by using the code TheSquadRoom on their website. A lot of good t-shirts. I'm marking a few new ones right now, and I'll post some of those up. All right, until next time, take care of each other and stay safe.